Hey you guys, just an review of the week one, the first class, the introduction class. Essentially what we did this week was really go over some of the main principles that we were going to cover in this environmental, sustainability, society course, and how all of those themes really interrelate and overlap. So I went we went into right away some of the course goals and expectations, which is always important to review. That way you know what to expect from an exam, since that's what I based the course on. And I went into adult learning principles. Now this probably doesn't relate particular to geography, but I think it's an important skill to learn in helping you identify the types of ways that you, as young adults, that the research shows that you learn best. Not just for this class, but you'd be able to relate some of these principles to help you learn the material in your other classes a little bit more thoroughly, strongly, more engaging, and maybe even get an interest or a career out of it. Right after that, we played a bit of a game, and we went into the 6 spheres and gave an overview of how each of them would work. So it's important to know those. And then we talked about how society fits into each of these. So it wasn't necessarily an environmental science course, but it was how humans really relate to these. And they relate in three main ways. One, we are part of the ecology. So as much as sometimes humans forget that everything we do has an impact and a reaction and the health of our ecosystems, we are part of this ecosystem, and it's important to see our place and understand that, particularly because humans have certain needs that they need to survive. So air being one of them, water being another one, shelter, which usually comes from some sort of product that has been mined or is given to us by the earth. So each of our human needs in some ways relates to keeping this ecosystem and the 6 spheres all in at least some sort of harmony to be able to keep ourselves alive. And then we talked briefly about what sort of changes are happening to the environment and how humans have influenced that, right from water consumption, water treatment, to waste management, deforestation, and a number of other elements that humans have really impacted each of the spheres on. Sustainability, we gave 2 definitions. One, a general overview of sustainability, and the second was a definition that I tend to like a little bit more, and that's the environmental sustainability definition. So not just, you hear about businesses being sustainable and other, I guess, sustainability being used in other fields, where the ultimate goal is to have environmental sustainability, and not just to have your business last for so many years, but to really make sure we're doing things with the environment in mind, so that the balance, so that Earth can exist for years to come without our generation or any generation really being the ones to cause it to not. And there was some sustainability principles that were displayed in graph form, so you might want to check those out. And the last thing we went into was what happens when things go wrong. So the concept of risk and hazards and vulnerability, and how each of those play in making a disaster or a hazard become a little bit more lifelike. So one, we talked about natural hazards. One, we talked about technological hazards, so a little bit more modern issues that have come up. And the vulnerability side really touched on a number of things that you can see differences between that developed world and the undeveloped world. So things like economic situation, the structure of the buildings and infrastructure that's at play, the political environment that these countries or people are dealing with, and some other institutional, so government, how they're interacting, foreign affairs, those types of things, and the personal stuff. So what's the age of the population? What's the gender? Are there any complications due to that? All right, I'm trying to keep this under 5 minutes, and we're at 5 minutes right now. So that's week one. Good luck.